If I stood out in the rain night, my only light a candle 1,000,000 miles away, would you lay down your fire as I raised mine? Would you not kill again? And oh, when you're near me, oh my love, oh my joy, there's nothing ever to weary me. Oh, my darling one. Good morning and welcome to Community Church of Boston. We opened with a song from my friend Cindy Callett about people who are holding up their tiny candle, their still small voices to confront the horrors of war. And I lift up those hundreds of people last Thursday, who were surrounding Harvard Yard with signs protesting Harvard's horrific behavior in the face of students saying no to massacre and genocide in Gaza. And it was just such an inspiration to be with those people, and such an inspiration later to see that 1,000 graduates walked out of the commencement. And also an inspiration to see this. This looks just like the Harvard commencement program. And you can't see it online, but instead of, here's the logo, right? Instead of Veritas, it says DIVEST, divest. And it's completely a parody, a mock-up of the program, and it's also all about divestiture. And it has it says why disclose and divest, and it says, since the entire endowment of about $50 billion is privately held, Harvard's investments are hidden from public view. The last of Harvard's public holdings visible in the 2021 tax forms show that Harvard has invested at least $200 million in companies that profit from Israel's occupation of Palestinian land. And then it has a Harvard divestment timeline, and it talks about when Harvard divested from South Africa. Tobacco stocks became the first U.S. endowment fund to sign the United Nations Principles for Responsible Investment. Harvard Corporation adopted anti-genocide investment policy in 2019. 2021 announced fossil fuel divestment plan. In 2024, it says an unprecedented number of Harvard students, faculty, staff, and alumni call for it to divest from Israel. And it has a map of course, of 1948 Palestine, all green, and the tiny bit of unoccupied or occupied Palestine that is now Palestinian people. You've seen this. Anyway, this is a beautiful document that I will cherish forever and will be in our archives. I'm also going to scan it and put it up on our Facebook page and my own personal Facebook page. I was just so honored to be among all those people. And so that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. Next thing I wanted to share with you was another song. A cappella. I sang it on Friday night, which was my birthday. I turned 70, and we were just blessed to have these players who were my band for that night on really brief rehearsal, but they just rose to the occasion. You can see that concert on Community Church's YouTube channel. It's really worth hearing these players that were with me tonight, and I thank Amar for all his technical help with getting that off the air. It was not easy, and we had some difficulties at the beginning, but we rose to the occasion. And last night was a party of some of my best friends and tribe folk, and some of my wonderful people here at Community Church that are our tribe here, our leaders, and our staff team. Amar was there with his parents. Luis Guzman was there. I'm just so grateful. Unfortunately, Crystal and her husband Reggie were not able to be with us, but I wish they had been there because it would have completed the circle. We had some of the officers of the church. And I sang this song on Friday. I sing this song today, and sang it Saturday night at the party, and it's called Lucky Man. I had no say in being born, or where and when it happened to me. It's only chance that turned the wheel and made my living easy. Oh, I am a lucky man, favored by good fortune's hand, far more than I'm deserving, and is that ever true? I've had good work since I've been young, mastered a trade, my business thriving, yet thousands idly bide their days, no job means no surviving. Oh, I am a lucky man, favored by good fortune's hand, far more than I'm deserving. I share a love that's fair and true, a marriage have I that's rich with pleasure, yet there are those whose wedding vows are shackles that embitter. Oh, I am a lucky man, favored by good fortune's hand, far more than I'm deserving. There's some who die for want of bread, there's some are killed for seeking freedom, yet I have more of what they crave than I'll ever be needing. Oh, I am a lucky man, favored by good fortune's hand, far more than I'm deserving. Lucky Man by Canadian songwriter Grit Laskin. I want to tell you all that if you're here for Miko Peled and Jill Stein, you'll have to wait because we had to postpone them. We don't have a date certain for that program, which we were so looking forward to, but the vagaries and vicissitudes of a presidential campaign required Jill to be elsewhere, and an important conference on Palestine in Detroit this weekend required Miko Peled to be there. So we have just the most amazing replacement for that program, and I'll tell you later about all the reasons we are just excited to do this replacement program. But first, I would like to read from our favorite Eduardo Galeano, Uruguayan author and historian of sorts, of a very different, unconventional way of looking at history. He wrote a 3-volume book that is called Memories of Fire, that you should all, if you got obsessed with it like I did about 25 years ago when it came out, you would spend the entire summer reading it. And I spent the entire summer reading 2 copies of it, one in Spanish and one in English, and turning the pages together as the vignettes came at me. It's a history of the Americas in 1 or 2 paragraph vignettes, and it's just this beautiful book. And there's a gorgeous translation by a speaker who spoke at Community Church. His name was Cedric Belfridge, who was blacklisted in the 50s, moved to Cuernavaca, Mexico, and lived there, led his career from there, and was a brilliant translator of Spanish to English. So this is the same idea. This is a book of days, which has an entry for each day of the year. And I don't know, which one should I read? My birthday entry or today's entry? My birthday was 2 days ago. I'll do today's. Okay. Here's what it says. I haven't read it yet even. Sherlock Holmes died twice. The first death of Sherlock Holmes occurred in 1891. His father killed him. The writer Arthur Conan Doyle couldn't stand the fact that his pedantic offspring was more famous than he was. So, up in the Alps, he threw Sherlock off a cliff. The news came out shortly thereafter in Strand magazine. Then the whole world dressed in mourning. The magazine lost readers, and the writer lost friends. The resurrection of the most famous of all detectives was not long in coming. Conan Doyle had no choice but to bring him back to life. Of Sherlock's second death, nothing is known. No one answers the telephone in his Baker Street home. His time must have come by now because we all have to die, though it is curious that his obituary has never appeared in the Times. Eduardo Galeano for May 26th. So let's get this party started. About a month ago, we had a really magnificent visitor here at Community Church. Kétu did a poetry reading for us with accompaniment by magnificent musicians Willie Sordillo and Josh Rosen. And we just had a lovely evening and just were so inspired by this griot elder statesman who read for us. Unfortunately, the sad thing is that our YouTube recollection of the program, which I immediately went to because I wanted to listen to it again, was horrible, and you couldn't even hear Kétu's voice. So when this cancellation happened, we said we have to have Kétu back. It was just so wonderful, and we'd love to have him here with us again. And not only that, but record it in a way that he can be heard and celebrated in the manner in which he should be. And on this day, he's also accompanied by a wonderful musician friend of his named Michael S. Patterson. And we enjoyed hearing him in the sound check and can hardly wait what he's going to do to embellish and beautify Kétu's words. First, I would like to welcome longtime friend of mine from originally from Fort Wayne, Indiana, but now I believe lives in Ithaca, New York, who was with Kétu that night and gave such a beautiful introduction to Kétu that I asked him to come online with us to repeat that introduction for us. And this is Sox Sperry. Sox, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Dean. It's a delight to be here with everybody, and greetings to all who are attending this morning. I see some names of old friends in the mix, and it's wonderful to be here with you. And surely thanks to the Community Church of Boston and to you, Dean, and a special happy birthday. We get to celebrate your birthday once again today with this reading. And I want to make a special thank you as well to Willie Sordillo. Hey, Willie, who really arranged Kétu's first reading last month, which led to this one. So this program is entitled Transitional Moments in the Liminal, Embodied Poetics at the Crossroads. And Michael and Kétu are uniquely qualified to invite us into liminal space, crossing the thresholds where sound and breath mix and merge. They've been doing that together for the past 40 years, in the process of moving from friends and colleagues now into elders and masters. Well, one way to introduce these two dear brothers is to call the names of the organizations they've collaborated in bringing to the crossroads of Kikianga's Three Rivers at Fort Wayne since the mid-1980s. They've been editors both at Frost Illustrated, Fort Wayne's African American independent newspaper. They are the founder and essential collective member of the Three Rivers Djembe Ensemble, studying and performing traditional West African music with young people. Musicians with Jata, a taste of yam music. Organizers of Africa Bound Study Tour, which brought 10 young people from Indiana to Guinea, West Africa for a month-long immersion in dancing and drumming, 2006. Hey, Taylor. They're the founder and primary supporter of RootFolkz Poetz Press, Poets Speaking Truth into Chaos. They're collaborators in creating the Big Apple Jazz Club series in the Three Rivers. I could go on, but you get the idea. These men have been changing our lives, our hearts, our bodies for a long, long time. And now they get to do it once again. In 1962, James Baldwin wrote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it's faced." In the next hour or so, Kétu and Michael will give us the opportunity, if we stay with our breath as they sound together, to face all that needs to change via our embodied listening and witnessing. Gratitude, dear brothers, the stage is yours.
Peace and respect, and thank you, Socks, for that elegant introduction. Thank you, Dean and Amir and Crystal at Boston Community Church for asking us to come back. It was it was a great experience being with you there in Boston. Thank you to all of the people who are gathered here online, to family, to friends, to new friends. Thank you to my brother Michael. Thank you to my daughter Lindy Bazile, whose studio we're recording in. And thank you to the ancestors who make it possible for me to be clear-headed, clear-eyed, and in my body as I open this presentation. We ring the bell to remind ourselves that sound is the force that brings life into being. We pour libation to honor and to remember those who have come before us, our bloodline, our spirit line, our intellectual line, those forces in our lives that constitute the unseen world. We pour for them and we ask you if you are connected to call out their names as we pour. Carrie Taylor, John Taylor, Margaret Fisher, Tyrone Foster, Chief James Hawthorne Bay, Dr. Margaret Burroughs, Dr. James Turner, Amiri Baraka, Jane Cortez, Audre Lorde, Margaret Walker, Brother Malcolm, Steve Biko, George Jackson, will there be any others? Will there be any others? And for all those names that we do not remember, we pour libation. Michael, give me something. Poetry be, in a traditional society, modern art is an oxymoron and sacred art is a redundancy. Don Cruz, The Traditional Doctrine of Art. Poetry be inspired sound moving through life unabated. It be truth's insistence having its way in malleable flesh. It be wind rising and falling in the body attuned to the ocean's rhythmic movement. It be air fueling flame indelibly hinged to earth's sacred fire. Poetry be esoteric. Poetry be exoteric. Poetry is being, is life's signature. She's oral, carried in the swaying hips of language inscribed. But first, poetry be oral culture lived and articulated as truth within its historical context. Sound has meaning. Meaning fuels feeling. Feeling moves flesh to acknowledgement, resolution, pursuance, song. Feelings, clarification, light sounds, many forms, each resonating as poetic frequency within its cultural skin. Amiri Baraka said it eloquently in his poem, Black Art. Let there be no love poems written until love can exist freely and cleanly. Let Black people understand that they are the lovers and the sons of lovers, and warriors and the sons of warriors are poems and poets and all the loveliness here in the world. Poetry requires cultural clarity, which requires an historical overstanding of the moment, the messenger, and the message. For African-centered poetry, understanding must align competing perspectives to commune balance between the ancestors and the unborn, between heaven and earth, between the above and the below. Poetry becomes manifest as an understandable extension, outgrowth, arrangement of the work of oral historians for as far back as Jeliwa remember, remembering so that the beauty of one's life becomes its moment's revelation. Stephen Henderson wrote in Understanding the New Black Poetry that literature is the verbal organization of experience into beautiful forms. But what is meant by beautiful and by forms is to a significant degree dependent upon a people's way of life, their needs, their aspirations, their history, in short, their culture. As the most concentrated of the verbal arts, poetry be the most apt to speak truth to the people. As Mari Evans made so clear in her poem, Speak Truth to the People. Speak the truth to the people. Talk sense to the people. Free them with honesty. Free the people with love and courage for their being. Spare them fantasy. Fantasy enslaves. We write to discover the who I am. Shape-shifting experience into meaningful soundscapes of identity. As vital force expressing identity, poetry be truth's moment of exchanging human vibrations, shape-shifting intellect and emotion to mediate meditations on being present here with you in this right now, experiencing all my relations as we. Being renews its form each day, and each new day be a new poem. Each new day be a new poem. This syncretic process fuels my passion to write an African presence back into the healing body of the world we inhabit and that inhabits our us. To poet is to seer, to see beyond the limitations of sight and sight. All physical obstacles be simple clutter in the infinity. As Margaret Walker teaches in closing her epic poem for my people, let a new earth rise. Let another world be born. Let a bloody peace be written in the sky. Let a second generation full of courage issue forth. Let a people loving freedom come to growth. Let a beauty full of healing and a strength of final clenching be the pulsing in our spirits and our blood. Let the martial songs be written. Let the dirges disappear. Let a race of men now rise and take control. Fueled by struggle, victory and defeat. Daily the ancestors teach me how to surmount the many forces still seeking the African's annihilation. Nurtured in this exchange, we be their godchild, disciplined in the resonance that speaks responsibility to collective universal human well-being. James Baldwin's clarity remains instructive. No people come into possession of a culture without having paid a heavy price for it. My birthright price has been paid. I say, my birthright price has been paid. I am the progeny of cultural clarity, wrought by the strong mind and body of African people's love and resistance to the pressing domination of whiteness's caste, state, and mental apparatus. Raised in a culture that despised my very being, taught by people who had no good use for me, captured by a force that plotted my destruction, and yet I stand. I stand because those other selves of my cultural skin taught me to see, to feel, to know the who I am, to know the who we be. And so we celebrate with Lucille Clifton. Come, celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed. We have lived. We be father, husband, brother, uncle, nephew, and an extended family member many times over many families. Servant, witness, warrior, priest, shapeshifter. I live in my people's cultural heart. In short, we be human, present, poeting and will not relinquish relationship with the living practice that is life for glass beads and trinkets, bridges, bosoms, booze, or booty. Poeting be the way, the wearing of shields of audacity, vulnerability, and compassion. I bear pain's armor with clear intention and selfless attitude that allows the hearer, the reader, to step into we voice and ride vibration back into her authentic self. In sum, we say with Ayikweyama, my vocation goes against all unconnectedness. It is a call to create the way again, and where even the foundations have been assaulted and destroyed, where restoration has been made impossible, simply to create the way. Alafia, Ife Atia Wo, Ashe, and Ashe. It's so good to be here this morning. It's so good to feel the sun in my face this morning, the wind on my skin. This presentation this morning, I want to dedicate to the indomitable people of Haiti, what you call Haiti. So much talk about Gaza and the destruction and the death and the genocide that's happening there, yes. And we must rise up to stop the insanity. But we must realize that there is insanity everywhere that there is the empire. And the empire has been in Haiti since its founding in 1804. And the Haitian people, the first free black nation in this hemisphere that has been despised by the empire and all the empires that fill this Western space, have not crushed her. She will not die, because African people will not die. We are here, and the ancestors brought us here. The Orisha brought us here for purpose. Because we know who you are, empire. We know you. We know your ways. We have felt your slap. We have felt your knife. We have felt your bombs. We have felt your terror. And we have survived. And the people of Haiti, in their indomitable spirit, are rising. Are rising. Are rising. We rise. We don't know how to do anything else but rise. Blackening the Anthropocene, Igbo landing cracks in white space. Whiteness is the orthodoxy of the obvious. Whiteness has experts. It doesn't have elders. Bayo Akomolafe. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. Genesis 1:26-31, KJV. It is easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism. Frederick Jameson. At night, the water is indistinguishable from the land. In that darkness, some residents claim they have heard chains rattling, the last remnant of a people who flew. Remenda Cyrus, Mother Jones, January through February 2022. 1. Black night still as ghost whispers. Black night, an ocean of stars singing. Black night, black water, land lost in the black abyss. Black nest, black nest, black rest. 2. Every morning, Nana reads the family Bible in her wicker rocker on the wooden porch that's crying out for her man's hand to fashion a fix for this old abode. But Nana's man gone. After the loosing and unsettling, the old ones recalculated their trek through time's salt water and slavery days that taught them well. And them what did see the end coming, rivers of blood, mountains of broke limbs, pain and dominion coming back at them. The old ones come through to today, wearied, wiser. Joy brews hope, waylaid. Them come fists balled up, minds tight, ready for the fight. Them come circling life, shuffling in a glory morning freedom dance, cycling their way to the river, back to saltwater transmission quarters. The loosing and the shaking, reconstruction and its betrayed promise, our life brung under the boot heel blueprint compound. We loose people in a everyday quarters of the aftermath. Garden patches teared up, long-standing family land stolen, children set to vagrant and chain ganged, cause no work be for the black and free, and we unallowed to work our trades for we. Family members gone on in the Ma'afa, never to be found, walled off in Dunbar Creek, St. Simon's Island, Georgia, Igbo landing consecrated. Them Africans stepped on into Almighty's breath, singing the rolling waters, and them flew home. Them knowed they people could fly. 3. White space legal freedom come worse than hurricane. Whiteness system require dominion, domination, dimented more ferocious than a cast iron pot of boiling oil. Slippery as a greasy pig, painful as an overseer's cat and nine tails. Day God comes swelling the grieving, poking dirty fingers into open wounds. Them priests and preachers demanding sight from gouged out eyes. Call our sea, needing to reconcile our grieving. Woe, lamentation, reckoning a future not much different than the past we left. Slaving days washed most of the African gods from our African minds. But our African grandmothers, African good could remember, and we found how to feel remember, cause Eshu stood at the crossroads and rode the big waves with us in those wooden boats we shackle in our own shit. rode those waves with us to transform, transmigrate, transition, and transmute language into our new we, into an ambiguous feeling, a head nod bubbling up new from our moaning and trauma's cries, our beyond body in the deep, every of things planetary in the holding on to our unseen guides, to our beings, remembering family ways, reminded and reminding eschew, ever at the crossroads. 4. We not forget Igbo landing, St. Simon's Island off the Georgia coast, where captured Igbo people rose up, smote the Steelers, and marched singing into the Atlantic skirt, going home rather than live as property when confronted by a local militia ready to make them Africans unfree. Them boats that morning, I hear say, the people could fly. 5. We be a sensate people, alive with remembering. We know how to feel our way back to the roads in the rivers, back to how we wash away this piled up hurt. All this what's known and family familiar that for we still pour libation. What land used to hold we? What our story used to tell we? Who and what we be and how? And who's what we be and must do to keep the world intact, universe collected deep within our babies and our old ones. We, ancestors, still holding Igbo land in sacred. We, family together, blackening white space. 6. The slavers were stole our we. Try to give us they god of war and pain. They god of genocide, extermination, of decimation, and final solutions. But our spirit people not be moved. We understanding oneness, overstanding we silent languages, we communication stealth in the belly of empire, counting the seasons till our embodied carry we home. Our spirit people keep we in a Orisha knowing, rushing tidal waters of rolling winds, hot lava rivers rushing slow motion from our mother's hearts. Vodun swirling of Haiti, Cecile Fatima, Dessalines, Dute Boukman, the seen and unseen, shape-shifting the too familiar scene of angry. We play our music, beat our drums, sing from our flutes, sweep away the violence and come with open arms, come as hush, a soft wind kissing earth's flesh. We take day God, prompting, shape-shifting syncretism into feeling life's fullness. Life's fullness. We know God. We know gods. We know ancestors. We know be elders, knowing rushing rivers talk. Oshun come, reminding and reminding we that the mother of us all, a master cleanser, master healer, a restorer alive in an overheated ocean's wrath, Yemo Yaolakun and the rising salt waters havoc. We trust our mother. Mother be sweeping moon's revenge, swelling tides, revealing sun's halo in a whoosh of moon shadow. Day come night in the blink of eye, howling in the animal silence gone on now. Silence now, quiet now. The Lord be talking. The howling, battering dry land, stripping Earth's green from white space dominion. The Lord be talking, the land blackening. Fire, fire, fire. The scorched earth, consumptive fire. God gave Noah a rainbow sign. No more water, fire next time. 7. We's an unsettled saltwater people, survivors of an unfathomed roiling, come from an antediluvian awakening, a quickening, a tossing and jumbling of spirits, a loosing and unhinging of familiars. We come new to hear, now hearing the speak from the unseen. We come new tongue speakers, invoking our ancestors back to new being, Nubians tethered to eschew's, ever reminding the quickening and the changing at the crossroads. We, a salt water people of long memory, we see. Eight, Nana's Bible, the family's prize passed on and passed on and passed on. Nana's papa taught her to read after learning from his papa, who taught him from under his Amelia County man keeper in the 1840s. We're an industrious people organizing for our own interests. We come a long way to be here, remembering Igbo landing, remembering Igbo landing, remembering Lowndes County, remembering Haiti, remembering Adalaya Toya. We come a long ways to be here. We've been sent, accompanied, and we ain't leaving. Woosa. People ask me, say, who are you? I say, I'm a poet. They say, what you do? Poet. They say, what that mean? I say, listen. For Maya Angelou, April 4, 1928 to May 28, 2014, with the certainty of tides. There is no apt word for when your mother leaves. She's been there, bracing your back so long, her absence a tidal flow. Tsunami breaking on a flimsy shore, like damp, cool days in autumn when leaves have fallen and color is fading fast. With the certainty of tides, you recall the pensive in the throes of death, her laughter and the wit of her, the cocoa eyes and touch of Arkansas. The giving spirit that knew death but never knew a vacant day. The power-lifting throat of wisdom that raised the faint heart and stilled the child's fear. Mother was all woman, a once caged bird that sang. She danced in hot spots and served as prostitute and madam in dives to make her spirit manifest. Magnificently brilliant, sleeves rolled up, lifting lady, lilting lady, lilting lady on the front line. Maya Angelou of generations past, present, and yet to come. No ingenue, no longer mute. Like the Malcolm and Martin you knew so well, you will never leave us. It's your dizzying flights of stardom, poeting and advising presidents and savants. None could ever mean as much to us as you, as your stand on the front line for justice and human dignity, or straight talk in the low-life hallways on 16th Street and in the alley with the thug of us. Thank you, mother, sister, daughter, auntie, woman, poet, Jelly Musso, keeper of the truth and flame of us. You threw open the cage door and sang, and let the caged wing fly free. And we will never again let another door swing shut on the you of us. We sing, we sing, we sing with the certainty of tides. If you can see me on the screen, you can obviously see that I'm a person of African descent. I am a man of African descent. I am not black. I am not in opposition to white. Black is coined in opposition to white as a political reaction. I am not a reaction to anything, and I am not anti anything. I am about life. "53 years ago, when the ancestors took my hand and walked me off death row, after 5 years of being there for a murder I did not commit, I came to understand during that 5-year period that my life was beyond white people's control, that my life was beyond the empire's control. The ancestors filled me with the spirit of Africa. They filled me with the spirit of a people who have been in resistance for the last 5,000 years. It didn't start with the Europeans who came out of Europe. It didn't even start with the Arabs who came across the Red Sea. It started way, way back. Way back with those assaults on Kemet, what you call today Egypt. It started there with the intellectual imprisonment of a people. It started there because Egypt, as you call it, didn't start there. 6,000 years ago, or however you calculate. It started south in the Sudan, where there are over 200 pyramids, where great civilizations rose, where people lived free and democratically. America, don't you never speak the word democracy. We are a people of long standing, and some of us have freed ourselves from the empire, freed ourselves from the thought of death. I thank those cops and those prison guards and those captors who did the bidding of my ancestors to give me a timeout so that I could reconfigure my energy. So much of the fear that's in this nation and in this people, and it's a marvelous people, these people here in America, but this government, these people who are in control, these people who have you thinking that you are white, that you are black, that you are brown, that you are a color, these people who have captured your minds, free your mind so your ass can follow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Holding on to light's frequency. This poem was written for a friend who lost her son recently. Little flute, Michael.
Yeah. Yeah. I can do that. Let me grab some.
Since we spoke last night, I've been holding on to the sound of your voice not breaking, liquid tether of laughter lifting from your sorrow, your pain, your loss, your tender body. Since we spoke last night, I've been holding you, holding on to light's frequency, holding and letting go this deep ache burning, bursting angst against rib cage, this full heart emptying its thinking to feel its memory, its longing, its loss, its tomorrow. If only I could say I am lost, lost in a yesterday that is not today. But I could never lie to you. I am not adrift on this rolling ocean. I too, tethered, keep coming back to this place of never not. This sound of breath, inhaling this culture that labels death the end, and end this passing that in no way ends life's emblematic embrace, its signature, its dream. This culture that boxes death as the dreamt nightmare of a dreamer holding on to fear. Is it profit making? Is it the idea of dominion, the idea of being not in control, free? 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 Free to fly away home. Home. Death be existential, be life's front door. It's way back to where our ways begin. Back, not wandering, but shimmering in wonder, dancing on a surfboard, mighty river, shooting rapids, learning and teaching and growing and falling back onto our umbilical cord, our mycorrhizal network, our intra's net, and yet here, now, this moment, still, so very still, body, mind aligned, and still I sit now in this triptych fantasy of living, this simulation in this valley between aching and joy, clutching long ago visions of you and the little boy, romping relations, nodding, threading. I am holding on. I keep holding on. I will be holding on to you, to our relationship, to light's frequency. Here, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. Let's see what we gonna do. What we gonna do? Okay. Trees for my garden. This is a death row poem. I used to watch treetops over towering white walls of captivity and wonder about their greenness. The green fertility of life painted against a cloud-free sky. Birds winging their way to somewhere free. I used to dream night dreams of setting the world afire and burning justice onto the landscape of my people's suffering. But I was young then, still trying to hold back the dawn, not understanding the necessities sometimes of scorched earth. I was still trying to accommodate youthful values I'd been cultured in and had grown to believe and follow. But I awoke one July morning to the vibrations of the Algiers Motel Blues and dug the birds still winging on their way to somewhere stilled in life against an illusion. And I embroidered into a centuries-old fabric of oppression, etched in whiteness across acres of our suffering. It's then that I began to grow trees and other life things in the garden of my being, and to sink deep roots in the soil of reality for the children. Quantum entanglement. Get it, Michael. I and the Color of Night, 1979. 1. The head tilts left, tilts right, nods, rolls on its spinal necular axis, engages the torso, the body moves, sweet embodiment. The nod says, I see you. I see you seeing me. Rooted trees spreading in my chorizo network. An intelligence, a light within, an innate underground, a found, never lost fungal system, living in life of process, the life and incoming and outgoing, and it's becoming process. I used to process my hair, and then it fell out, informing me I was more than I thought I was, more than I thought I could be, me. Quantum intuition, dolphin in a cool ocean, minding sharks, whales singing, my living song echo in an ocean's black hole, pulsing light, quasar motions, abundant in universing song. One in the oneness of the every, the very of things. Thought, 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 thought. Tehuti. I am Ibn, the beginning, the was, the living, lightning in the already light, lightness, light nest. Streaming into sight, into mind's eye, seeing and seeking into the right sight, sighting, the rooting, the praxis, the being process, hug a tree, touch earth's intimate, put your hand in the ground, swim with dolphins and whales, sing with porpoises, mind and find your human, hunt with raptors, soar with the vulture, sight with the eagle, know oneness, a quantum entanglement, displaced from position, thinking, alone, lonely, fearing, thinking, lonely, emoting, and imaginary, alone. 2. I, and the color of night, blending, and I the night, ancient womb, 7-tonal jazz riff, alpha, omega, osa and offset, eyes in the black pearl night, winking in the deep, glowing in limitless space. I am fire in the tonal rhythm of the jazz night, seeing, hearing, feeling, being, all I am I in the womb of day. Newborn child of my soul's eyes, piercing the fathomless darkness of man-made cities. I am radiating pulse of sound as I come lightning, gone thunder. I am I in the black woman night. Ma'at dancing in 7-tonal modulated polyrhythmic scat in the blues space of my creation. I am I singing on. I am I singing Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I am I singing Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I am I singing Our Father who art. I am I singing Ago Mojuba Lurisha Mojubaye Mojuba Lurisha. I am the testament and the judgment, the first and final word. I am I, and the color of night, blending to color day's birth. Sing. Thank you, brother. It hurts me to my heart to see you like this. Underworld and underweight, impossible to be with, impossible to leave. I must approach you the way I approach music sometimes, late at night and by myself. Sekou Sunjata, I want to talk about you, an ode to Harlem. There is no love in the universe that does not sing from each of us. Each strong oak, each blade of grass, cycling, circling into descending, ascending, crescendoing spirals. Tendrils in the tender underbelly of wannabe sure lives. Our open and exposed pain pure, harsh, healing in the fire of sun's gaze, trauma melting in the schooling waters, the waters teaching. We sat together last night talking like we knew one another, like old friends, one with the other, without pretense, dispelling the tension between our laughter and our figuring out the finance of simple things. Laughter at a shared meal, a toast, the maudlin beauty of another day together in life's patterns of ups and downs. Each line spoken, each phrase sung, testifying the emptiness shared in full emptiness as we lay together on opposite sides of the bed, deep in the sleep of togetherness. A poem for my dear other half, my life partner, Clydia. It's so important that we remember that life is about relationships. All this poetry is really about relationships. It's about how do I reach out to you through this box, through this technology? How do I crack open white space so that the life that is creativity can emerge to touch you? So that you feel me, so that you do not dwell on the words and their meaning as you interpret them through your experience, but that you feel the vibration. That's where the poetry is at. The poetry is in the movement and the relationship. We have an ongoing relationship with sound, an ongoing relationship with what we so humbly call life. Do not allow the empire to run you away from life's other half. Its twin, death. To have a good life is to have a good death. The Church of Aretha, still my bridge over troubled waters. Homage to the Queen of my soul. March 25th, 1942, August 16th, 2028. A quote from Aretha. My daddy's Detroit's Reverend C.L. Franklin says, I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I respect him, of course, but I'm going to stick by my beliefs. Angela Davis must go free. Black people will be free. Black people will be free. I've been locked up for disturbing the peace in Detroit. And I know you got to disturb the peace when you can't get no peace. Jail is hell to be in. I'm going to see her free if there is any justice in our courts. Not because I believe in communism, but because she's a black woman and she wants freedom for black people. I have the money. I got it from black people. They've made me financially able to have it, and I want to use it in ways that will help our people. Aretha Franklin, Jet Magazine, 1970. A Facebook post, 16 August 2018. Been in meditation all day, maintaining an internal silence and outward distance so that I could draw closer to the woman whose gospel blues is the soundtrack of my life. Aretha's step into the spotlight and audacity to claim and own her image, talent, and productive life is legend and legacy, truth and practice, and the way into and out of a life of experience replete with ups and downs that would submerge the above average heart. Love is a many-dimensioned reality, and to say Aretha's sound filled my soul back in the 60s when death had claimed me and the success of a quest for identity was anything but certain is understating an understatement. With all you've given, Aretha, and the lessons of identity you taught, you will never be silent. Sing on, sweet sister, sing on. You took me back to church, Aretha. Took me into the gospel choir of angelic black voice, filling the empty space in my narrow next to nothing understanding of myself and place. And yes, it is personal. In a world that rejected and condemned me, casting me aside with a political sleight of hand that put me on death's plan, walking the line that erased all ill-conceived self-projection, surfing emotional waters. You were whole cloth, churched and bred in the preacher's house, spiriting the dark to bring light to unloved souls. And when the doors of the death house were thrown back, you were there singing, "If you only believe." And having stepped through belief's door with me into knowing you, the church of Aretha, my bridge over troubled water, my soul's serenade, you the affirmation, the amazing grace, confirming sanction, sanctified still waters, running deep, that feeling space I'd come to know after coming to terms with crippling pain, overstanding that the state would take my life in a blaze of fire, popping my jelly eyes, electric lightning shooting from the face with blown out sockets. Pharaoh's army, knowing no crime, no offense was of my making. Then you took my hand to re-enter a world I'd been snatched from. You, friend, walked with me onto Boston Commons, stood with me, my spirit in the dark, pushing a light scepter through fear, never doubting you were there, and I sang you, guiding my hand to compose new life. You took and made me a song I could sing, sound magician, megastar covering galaxies of pop lyrics, making them yours, owning and delivering them. natural extensions of your breath eclipsing sun, starburst, erupting life spark, filling empty space with the soft of moonshine, Orisha elixir, lower magic for the multitude seeking bread. You took sound and churched it to how I got over, to natural woman resplendence, to, oh, Mary, don't you weep. And through years, Aretha, you've been my relief, my Lazarus talisman, release from dark thinking, giving my heart to song. Walking these blue streets alone, despairing, questioning the who, what, and why I am. You are there, your voice, the church bell, the sanctuary, the spirit moving through darkness. I retreat to deep within the skin of myself, my rose in Spanish Harlem. No doctrine, no threat of salvation or crucifixion. Your voice lilting and lifting the dark. You are every woman commanding RESPECT. Respect. Peace and blessings and peace and clarity and peace and more peace, and let us hold peace for all the people oppressed by the empire. Let us hold peace in our hearts so that our minds can be ejected from white space, so that we can raise cracks of freedom for ourselves, for our ancestors, for our progeny, and for the people and all our relations, all the beings on this planet. Peace. Thank you, Dean, and thank you to all who have gathered here today. And Dean, I'm ready to talk to people if people want to talk.
Let's see, folks. Let's hear this an enormous, resounding thank you and gratitude to Kétu Oladuwa for beautifying, gracing our stage and our online presence. I am just so amazed by so grateful. I want to tell you that our season is almost over. We take the summer off, at least from our regular schedule of Sunday programs, but we have a full schedule of things coming up anyway, despite that we're supposed to be on vacation. And I want to read them to you. Remarkable speakers that will all be online. Monday, June 10th, Jeffrey Sachs, you should hear Jeffrey Sachs. It's going to be a 1 p.m. Program because Jeffrey will be joining us from Europe somewhere, and we don't want him to join us at 3 in the morning. So that'll be a 1 p.m. That is the 61st anniversary of John F. Kennedy's remarkable, seminal, historic speech where he offered not only an olive branch, but a peace gesture of dialogue and negotiation and end to the madness of nuclear war with the Soviet Union at that time. It's a remarkable speech that we celebrate once a month, normally on the 10th of every month, but sometimes we go off that schedule. But this is June 10th, which is the 61st anniversary of John F. Kennedy's speech at American University. Join us for that, and every month for a different talk from a different speaker about that speech and about peace and rapprochement and negotiation and dialogue and love between warring nations. The next one I want to tell you about is number 2, June 8th. We have every second Saturday of the month a peña here in the auditorium. It's a Latin American style open mic for song, poetry, soapbox diatribe, or whatever you want to do, and it's framed by really good food and beverage and camaraderie with especially Latin American folks, but you can be from any country on the planet and come and share and join with us. That's the Peña. And this one is on June 8th, Saturday, June 8th, and I hope you will join us. Let's see, number 4, Saturday, June 22nd, we have an old friend. He's spoken here many times. His name is Ray McGovern. He's a retired CIA analyst. He gave daily briefings to presidents of this country, 4 or 5 administrations worth of briefings, and he's a remarkable speaker. Will give you a different viewpoint on a lot of things that you hear. July 4th is again the JFK memorial speech or Zoom, whatever you call it. Instead of the 10th, it's on July 4th because of obvious reasons. Larry Wilkerson, Colonel Larry Wilkerson, who joined us in person just a couple of months ago here, an evening talk. It was just amazing. Wilkerson was Colin Powell's Chief of Staff, Secretary of State Colin Powell under the Obama administration. He will join us on July 4th. Also July 4th, annual anti-imperialist picnic. Oh, I had a whole description of it and I left it back there, so I'll just describe it to you. It happens on the banks of the Charles River, Soldiers Field Road, near the Christian Herder Theater in Brighton, near the WBC TV studio. July 4th, anti-imperialist picnic. It'll be a remarkable thing. It happens from noon to 6 p.m. Lots of food, lots of beverage, and lots of open mic sharing of song and poetry. July 4th. So that's all of the 5 different events. Stay tuned. I just got an email from a Palestinian poet who is going to be in town in a couple of weeks, but we don't have a date. Just stay on our radar screen. Join us. Let us know your email address, and we'll add you to our email list. So, to thank Kétu, I want to sing a song that Kétu mentioned and said thank you to me for when he was here in April. And this is a song from the African continent, even though it's from an island off the coast of Africa that's a remarkable place you don't hear much about. It's called Madagascar. It has magnificent music. I don't know if you've ever heard of some of the musicians that the great Ry Cooder recorded and brought back and celebrated. This is one of them. His name is Eric Manana, and this song is in Malagasy, and I have no idea what it means. I just like how it sounds. If you want to hear an amazing version of this song, go to our YouTube channel and listen to the live recording of the band that I had with me last Friday night. It's about 2/3 of the way into it, and they just stepped up to this song like just so beautifully. Rob Flax, Max Ridley. Anyway, here it is with just me here, bathed in the light and the heat. Nyangula peo miranda pisone me kamia kashimitina tiashuanuan ruari valima menifanamo na mitina tale sarani hirani tanikyo tiko tikula katatima takaluko tale tarani hirani tanikyo tiko tikula katatima takaluko Yumbahiyo, 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 kanulwabu katabuni lukwakuye. Yumbahiyo, 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 timavela kufatu falufakuye. Ni fembalia miraco tu sa fennete na mampeki fulane mana kua peratane randani dese mandrea giturane tale sarani hirani tanikyo tiko tikulla katatima takaluko tale tarani hirani tanikyo tiko tikulla katatima takaluko Yumbahiyo, 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 kanulwabu katabuni lukwakuye. Yumbahiyo, 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 timavera kufatu falufakuye. Eric Manana Nyangula, it's called. Hey, I just wanted to share with you a little bit more. These are some birthday presents. I said no presents, folks, but I want to talk about the first one that I got. Jackie Royce, who is our kind of like matron saint, guardian angel of the church, age 90, who gave me a gift, and it was the first draft of a grant proposal for $250,000 to fix our front facade, grant to the city of Boston. She has been instrumental in us getting a couple of really important grants to help us. And it was not only it was the first draft, but it was also a kick in the butt to me to finish the thing, which is a ton of work. So nothing like a gift that is an incentive to get going on a bunch of work necessary to put this grant together. Thank you, Jackie. The other one I want to show you is my wonderful friend and the sweetheart of my Nibby. Is that Nibbly? That's a new word to me, and it's an important word because it's the name of a nephew, what used to be called a nephew or niece, but it happens that my dear Carrick calls themselves non-binary, so you call them a Nibbly. And this is his sweetheart, and she's a wonderful artist, and she gave me these pieces of art that are, of course, the watermelon. The watermelon is important in the world of Palestine because its colors are the same as the Palestinian flag: red, black, green, and white. And she gave me this beautiful painting, and also this one, which says, "End the deadly exchange." And it's about all these police departments in the United States that send their personnel to Israel to learn how to suppress a hostile majority. And it's wrong, and it happens to be promoted by what's called the ADL, Anti-Defamation League, which used to be a legitimate body that fought anti-Semitism, and now it's a body that fights, advocates for Zionism. So this is a beautiful End the Deadly Exchange, and here is a one with a keffiyeh and one with a mask that says Black Lives Matter. So thank you, Ariel. We have several other of her beautiful artwork. She also printed a bunch of these greeting cards. This one says, "You are on native land," and it has the keffiyeh and the flowers that are symbolic of native peoples, and the feathers at the end of the keffiyeh. It's just a beautiful artwork that my dear Ariel made for us. There are also some other presents that I love. There was some chocolate that I'll share with all of you who are here from the Van Otis Chocolate in Lawrence, Massachusetts. And this beautiful, beautiful plate. I said no gifts, but people just kept bringing gifts. Beautiful plate. You can't see it really online, but it's just gorgeous, gorgeous work on maybe bronze or copper. Thank you. I don't even know who gave it to me, and I have a stack of cards this high that I need to read, just greeting cards. Here's the other greeting card that Ariel printed on. It says "From the River to the Sea" at the top, and of course the Palestinian flag. I think I'm finished with my announcements, and this is also the moment when I'm supposed to say, in a regular church situation, it's called the offertory. I'm supposed to say that we depend on your generosity to keep this project going. Community Church, our building, and our staff, our team, let's call them, just a magnificent team that we have that makes this thing happen. And we rely on you. There is a website, communitychurchofboston.org, and you can make a credit card or PayPal donation right there. At our last Friday's benefit concert, my 70th birthday concert, we raised over $1,000, and we thank all of you who stepped up to that opportunity to be generous to Community Church in our hour of special need. We've had a downstairs restaurant space vacant for 10 months now, and it's been a very difficult hit on our regular budgetary process, but this too shall pass. We guarantee you, and we will be back in the saddle, if you will. This is our moment to say hello to Kétu. I already did, and if there's any other folks online who have their hand up or who have mentioned something in the chat, if Amar could share that or put them up on the screen.
Uh, sure. Um, when I was 21 years old, I was um, charged for a murder that I did not commit. And that happened right here in right here. No, I'm here in Indiana. You're there in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, in Springfield. And um, after 36 hours of um, interrogation by the police, I gave them a confession to something that I did not do. People say, well, why would you do something like that? In a situation of trauma, in a situation where um, the mind was working, where I was thinking about the justice system, thinking about being innocent until proven guilty, thinking about police doing the work of investigation, all that thinking led to death row. Um, that position on death row was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it gave me the opportunity to take a look at myself and the world that I was living in. I had no real understanding of what it meant to be in the world, to be Black in the world, to be a person of African descent in the world, in this particular place in the world. I had no sense of that when I was 21 years old. By the time I was 23, that sense was coming into full spectrum. And by the time I walked off death row in 1971, I went in 1966. And by the time I walked off in 1971, I had found myself. Um, and the self that I found has been growing ever since. That answered your question, but if there's a more specific question, I'd be happy to answer. Huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I got out in 71, and I think that the death penalty was abolished in Massachusetts in 72. It was after I got out. I was on death row. The two people who stood out for me on death row was Pete Ledetto and James Flowers. Uh, and together, um, together, I guess we were the political wing of death row. We were the ones who fought for the changes there. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I saw that. I tried to keep up and saw that. Lee, thank you, Lee, and happy birthday.
To all of you that last week's program was one of the most moving things that I have heard. It was called Survivors of the PIC, which means Prison Industrial Complex. And Lee was one of three presenters. The other two were Don Wright and Calvin Airy, and the three of them gave testimony about their
Yes. Dean, Dean, I just want to let folks know that they can keep up with me on rootfolks.com, RootFolkS.com. Peace.